Whenever possible, we want to always put the square rail clamp facing out. In this particular boat, this forward rail is very thin, so we're going to have to use a wood shim underneath, which we'll put inside the clamp under the rail, and then we'll tighten the screws. This is what we call a cover cushion. It's basically pipe insulation, foam pipe insulation. You can buy it at any Home Depot or Lowe's or any type store of that nature. And you buy one that fits 3/4 copper tubing. And what we're going to do is put it on our pipe frame, and it'll cushion the cover and extend the life of the cover. Now it comes with a slit in it. Basically, we're going to just open that up so we can put it on our pipe. Put it onto the tubing, bring it around the bend, and up past our joint like so, and we're going to cut this off. The way we hold it in place, we're going to take some electrical tape, start a wrap of tape on the pipe first, go around once or twice, and continue up on to the end of the foam, like so. And then we're going to do the same at the bottom. And you can put a wrap around the middle, like that. Now this will cushion this corner really nice, extend the life of your cover. You can use this any place you think you want to put padding. We can put a piece in between the ribs on the ridge pole and wherever there's a bend. You can install this on the ridge pole. Very easy to do. It'll also cushion the cover at that location. All these little things are easy to do, inexpensive. You can buy a whole package of this for somewhere around $3.75, and it'll stay on there for years. Basically, just put it on like that. We're going to tape it like we did the other one, and then you could leave it there from year to year. Use it over and over again. You probably get 2-3 years out of it at least. And it's so inexpensive, it works very well. And that's it. You can put a piece in the middle if you want. Makes a real nice cushion for the cover. The standard elbow is a 12-inch elbow, but because this boat has higher seats, they're actually 7 inches from the top of the rail to the top of the seat. This is a little tight. We want to keep the cover up off the back of the seat. So we've used on this particular boat the 17-inch elbow, which raises this up higher, gives us more room here from the bottom of the elbow to the top of the seat, and it'll keep the cover off the seat better. If you really need a long elbow, we have a 24-inch elbow. Gives you even more clearance. We can make these to any size you need, but these are basically the 3 stock sizes that we have, and they'll give you plenty of clearance from the top of the seat. The only difference is when you use these longer elbows, you need a little wider cover, a little longer cover. It takes a bigger cover. And there's a little bit more wind resistance, but that's really not a problem. The next thing to be aware of, some boats have larger, higher windshields. If the windshield is up higher and it comes out close to the corner, again, the short elbow may not give us enough height to clear it. You may need the longer elbow, and that'll give us enough clearance to go over that windshield. Normally we terminate the ridge pole, bring it down, and put the square rail clamp on the rear railing, and install a flex elbow, and then come up and meet this. But because there's a cushion in the way, we can't install that clamp in that area. So what we would use is, because this boat has a tow bar, we have a tow bar kit, which will actually fasten around that. And I'll show you how that goes on, and then we bring our ridge pole from here up to the top. To install the tow bar clamp, we want to remove the nuts, slide the half a clamp off, and we're going to put this over the tow bar. The rubber is going to go in between the two. Slide that back on, put the nuts on, tighten this up. Then the kit comes with a 30-degree elbow with a restricted slide lock on it. Just drop this in the top and then tighten these nuts just to snug it up. Doesn't have to go too tight. Okay. Now what I've done, I've taken a scrap piece of tubing, I put a coupling on the end. I'm going to put it on the 30-degree elbow. As you can see, it's long enough to reach the top. And we take our 60-degree elbow, and we want to line these up so that they come out at the same angle. Then we're going to mark it here and cut it, and we're going to mark this one here and cut it. Now I've cut my tubing to length. You'll see our elbow will fit in here perfectly. What we're going to do is put couplings on this elbow with the screws facing in. Tighten them up. We're going to install it. And there's our ridge pole elbow installed to our tow bar clamp. Now, if this particular boat didn't have this tow bar, we'd have to find a place to terminate the ridge pole. What you can do is you can put a 2x4 across on the motor bracket, use some C-clamps to hold it in place. Or if you want, you could even drill the motor bracket, put a couple of bolts here, depends on how handy you are. One on each side. Snug those down. And then we're going to take the ridge pole and stick it in this hole here that we've drilled. That's a 15/16 hole. We used a flat wood bit. Drilled it 3/4 of the way through the piece of 2x4. And what we're going to do is put a screw through the surface here, through the side, right into this piece of tubing. We'll drill a hole. This is a 9/64 drill bit we put in the drill. We're going to drill straight in the center of this 2x4 with a slight up angle into that tubing. And we've put a 2.5-inch deck screw in the hole. Okay, screw is in. That'll hold that tubing in place, it won't come out. That will tie into the elbow, the 30-degree elbow, which is now connected to the tow bar. But if we didn't have a tow bar and we need a place to put that elbow, it would sit on top of that piece of tubing. Because this boat has a sloped rail in this area, if we put the square rail clamp on here without doing a little kick in this piece of tubing, we call this a rib leg here, this tubing won't be straight up and down. So what we did is we put a bend in this. And the way we did this is we took a straight piece of tubing and we put a little kick in it at the bottom, let it run long. I'll show you how we did it, and then we cut it off and use this elbow. Now if you have a long elbow, you can still do that and cut it off enough so you can get enough to make the bend. Saw this off here and put the coupling at that point. We happen to use just a short one, which we have in stock, and we use the short one in that place. I'll show you how this is done. All right, we have a scrap piece of tubing and a tubing bender. We're just going to put it on maybe a 1/2 inch from the end, and we're going to put a little kick, a little bend in that. All right, step on the tubing, step on the bender, and just give it a little kick, just a little bit, like that. That's all we needed to make this fit, just a little bit of a bend. We'll show you, we'll line it up on that rail, and it should go straight up. We've made our bend, and if I stand it on the rail, you'll see it should face straight up, which it does. That's all we needed was that little bend. Now we're going to show you how to cut this and put it all together. And what I've done, I've taken a piece of tubing, clamped it with 2 round rail clamps on here, or you can even tie it or tape it, whatever. We just want to have something that we can get this up to the exact same height as the others. We're going to take our bent piece of tubing, stick it into that coupling, and then we're going to mark right here, and we're going to cut that off and put a coupling on it. Now that I've cut the tubing to the length, we're going to put the rib leg in the coupling of the square rail clamp. I put a coupling on top. We're going to lift this up, put it right on here, drop it into the coupling, and we're going to tighten it up. Now we have all our ribs at the same height. That's why we put this piece of tubing on here, to give us something to align with. All right, if you didn't want to make that bend in that rib leg yourself and you wanted us to do it at the factory, we can do it for you as long as you know what the angle is. In order to determine what the angle is, you're going to take a piece of paper, tape it to the railing, Then just trace the shape of the railing where it goes. We're going to take a bubble level, stand it on the railing, and aim it straight up. When the bubble's in the center, that's good. And we're just going to mark a line down here. That intersection tells us what the angle is, and we can make that bend for you at the factory, and then all you have to do is install it yourself. Now what you can do is you can either fax this to us or send it through an email, and we'll make the bends as needed. This boat has a gate in the front, as most pontoon boats do. If you're concerned about the weight of the frame cover and ice and snow on top of this gate, we can make this a lot stronger by putting a block of wood under it and a wedge, and just tighten it up like so, and then cut the wedge off, and that'll support that gate and take the weight off of it. On this particular boat, we had to put the square rail clamps facing inward because there's seats involved there. You can't put it the opposite way. On some older boats, the railings might be a little weaker and they may move slightly, and if you're afraid that that clamp could possibly slide off, you can cross tie it with some strapping. Just do this. Run this one across to the opposite side. Snug it up tight, wrap it around. Tie it on, and you're good to go. To measure for your cover, we're going to start about a foot below the deck line. Follow the contour of the frame, like so, up to the middle. So we're going to double that. To measure for the length, we're going to start about a foot below the deck line. Follow the contour of the ridge pole, that's the center pole. We're going to go all the way down the ridge pole to the back of the boat and drop it over the motor, and where it ends, that's going to be our length dimension.